first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not caring about my ex or her kid? I was married to my ex for 12 years. Married for 8 of those years, and I thought we had a great relationship. However, that was proven to be a lie when I found out our child wasn't actually mine. The child was a little under 1 year old when I found out. The little girl was diagnosed with an inherited genetic disease that not my wife nor I had. So, after a genetic test, I was told I wasn't the father. I left her almost immediately and wished her the best of her life and hoped her daughter would do well. During the beginning of the divorce, I was served with a summons for a child support case. My lawyer told me since I acted as the father for a fair amount of time, I shouldn't be shocked if I'm ordered to pay. I wanted to fight, but I wasn't worried. I had a good backup plan. Long story short, the real father wasn't found and I was ordered to pay. She smiled pretty big after the hearing, and I was upset admittedly, so I told her I'd send her a check before garnishment kicked in. I liquidated all my assets pretty quickly. Took a loss on some things, but hey, I'm still young. Called my parents and they got my room ready, and I moved back home. In my home country. I sent my ex a picture of me smiling back home, and told her best of luck. I've gotten a few calls and letters regarding the support, but they got blocked or tossed in the trash. I don't think I'm the a-hole here. I didn't cheat and she's not my child. Some people argue about the bond, but I can't say I had a strong one considering I was ready to walk the second I heard about what was up. What does Reddit think? Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I'm honestly amazed by all the "you're the a-hole" ratings you're getting. She knew damn well the kid wasn't yours and still had the audacity to go to court for child support. Good on you for leaving behind all that BS. Completely cut him out and move on with your life. She made her bed with her actions and lies. She can now lie in it. You are in no way obligated to pay up for a kid that's not yours, OP. I doubt anyone in your position would still stick around. I wish you luck on a new happy life. I think it's cool that nobody talks about how to treat someone like that is horrible. What is the problem with people? Is playing with someone's life and putting a child in the middle okay? Considering how young the child was when you found out, I'm going to say not the a-hole. She won't even remember you. Lucky for you, you found out so soon on. What on earth is up with a system that will order you to pay child support on a kid that isn't yours, that you've only been raising for about a year though? They don't want the mom getting SNAP, I guess. Please don't shoot the messenger. Just giving some info based on what I learned from working with a family law firm/lawyers. Basically, the law isn't looking at what is fair to the parents, and more at what is best for the child. So, if you've been caring for a child for a year, their question is, how would it be beneficial for the child to lose a parent/financial stability? If you can't find a real dad, you somehow have to argue that it's detrimental to the child for you to continue being in its life, even if it's just financially. Which, as you can imagine, is pretty difficult. It sucks. But the system needs a huge overhaul, and I don't think a lot of people with the power to do so want to get into it. Not an a-hole because I don't agree with a system that allows someone to be liable after being lied to. I would commend you if you were still there for an innocent child, but I think the system isn't fair. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my wife her daughter's address so she could see the newborn? Hear me out, please. I'm a 46-year-old father who lost a daughter, Molly, years ago to brain cancer. Molly's death broke me. She was my only child. I'm no longer who I was before this tragedy. I married my wife when my stepdaughter, Sarah, was 15. Sarah had issues with her mom. Her mom would kick her out over small arguments. She kicked her out for getting a haircut, for failing one class, and other reasons. Every time she'd bring her back home and tell her to learn her lesson or she'd be kicked out. One time, her mom kicked her out over a diary at 17, and Sarah had enough and didn't return. She started working. I remained in contact. I just couldn't let her struggle, so I tried to help her financially, but she refused. She's incredibly independent and a hardworking person. She reminded me of Molly. I decided to help in other ways. I got her a better job opportunity by calling someone I knew at the time. This way, she still had to work to earn money, which is something she wanted, and also work a better job that appreciated her more than the previous job. She's an artist. She wanted to be a graphic designer. so I sold my old car to pay for her courses. She started paying me back bit by bit, only because she's independent. She lived with her then boyfriend, now husband, and paid for other things. My wife didn't try to mend things. She disowned Sarah the day she got married, but I stood firm and told her that I'm free to talk to Sarah and she should respect that. I attended gatherings with Sarah from time to time, and she calls me dad in front of other people, whereas in the past, it was just my name. This sounds crazy, but I believe this all happened just so I could meet Sarah and have a chance at being the best father that I could be. She's now 22 and just had a baby girl a few weeks ago. I visited several times and we talked. She told me that it was unfortunate that she lost her dad, but was glad she has me in her life. I cried, although I'm not good at expressing emotions, and it got worse after Molly's death. My wife knew about the baby and demanded I give her the address so she could go see her granddaughter. I refused because Sarah asked me not to tell, and because she's already dealing with postpartum and will not be able to deal with her mom's behavior. My wife threw a fit and said that this is her daughter and grandbaby, and I shouldn't try to stop her from seeing her. She called me selfish and cruel. The argument didn't stop, and the family are agreeing with her and telling me to stay out of it. I argued with my wife about it again, and she said I had no right and that I needed to give her the address. She didn't even seem regretful or wanted to apologize. Everyone is now blaming me, telling I'm being cruel and demanding I give her the address. Now for the top comments. I refused because Sarah asked me not to tell. It begins and ends there. You're honoring Sarah's wishes. You would be a huge a-hole to do otherwise. As it stands, you are the opposite of a huge a-hole. You are a wonderful father. Congratulations on the birth of your granddaughter. May she be a light in your life that reminds you of your Molly, not the a-hole. You're right, that's not my decision. But they're telling me I was the one driving a wedge in the family. Truth is, I'm not trying to lose Sarah's trust, and there are boundaries that I cannot overstep. The one who drove a wedge in the family was the one who disowned her own daughter. The rest of the family have a problem with me and see this as an opportunity to put the blame on me for what happened. I used to care in the past about what they say, but not anymore. After everything I've already lost, losing them is in fact a blessing. Not the a-hole, and in the kindest way I can muster, get a divorce. Agree. Divorce the wife, keep the daughter. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for reminding my ex she has no say in where my son goes to school? A little background info. My ex and I broke up when she got pregnant with my son Vincent because she left out one tiny little detail during our time together. She was married with kids. She and her husband almost divorced. I fought to be in my son's life and got sole custody in the end. My ex still has visitation, and Vincent has met his other 4 half-siblings who are around the same age as him. Vincent just turned 5, and I've started thinking about elementary school next year. A few of my friends' kids and my sister's kids all go to the same private school that starts with pre-K to high school. Honestly, I've heard so many good things about this place. It's not strict like many other private schools around here. The classes are small. The teachers are very attentive. My nephews have been there for years and they love it. I've been there before for school events too. It seems like a wonderful community and I feel like my son would benefit a lot coming here. When my ex came to see Vincent, I mentioned the school and she got very defensive. She said she didn't like the idea of him going to a private school and there's nothing wrong with public. Which I agree. I grew up going to public schools. However, this place would be very beneficial for him, and I told her as such. The more info I gave her, the more pissed off she seemed to get. Finally, she said she doesn't want him going there because she really wanted Vincent to go to the same school as his half-siblings, and sending him somewhere separate would mean they spend less time together. We started arguing. She was set on him not going there, and I eventually told her I'm the one who gets to make these decisions. So she has no say in any of this, and I'm only telling her as a courtesy. She got really quiet and started crying. She said I didn't need to rub it in her face, and she's only thinking about Vincent spending less time with her side of the family if he goes to a different school. She called me some very unkind names and left. I understand that she wants him to be close to her other kids, but I don't see why that could cost him having a better education. But I am wondering if maybe I went a little too far throwing the custody arrangement in her face? Don't know if it was the right call to say those things and remind her she has no control of what happens in his life. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The world doesn't revolve around what she wants. Seems like your ex never learned that lesson since her infidelity. If your son wants to go to that private school, then that's all you really need to know. It's not like he will never see his half-siblings or something. Also, having good education will let him live in comfort, not the fact how close or not he may be with your ex's kids. Also, unless his half-siblings are the same age as he is, which seems unlikely, I'm not sure how much they'd actually see each other in school. It's not like they're going to be walking home from the bus stop together, sharing classes, eating together, etc. Until I was in high school, my school system rarely offered opportunities for us to mingle with people from other grade levels. And even in high school, most of the things we did were by grade levels. Even if they were in the same grade level, who's to say they won't develop different friend groups / interests / etc.? Is she going to force them to spend time together at school? I'd wager this has more to do with her not being able to afford private schools for her kids, as opposed to contact with his half-siblings. Not a a-hole. Also, it could be awful for him, as no doubt the story of him being the child of an affair would come out, since the siblings go to the same school. No kid deserves that kind of gossip going on if it can be avoided. Not a a-hole. Knowing the circumstances of this situation, the kids are all probably better in different schools anyway. I am not sure what la la land she lives in, that she thinks everything will just be so cherry when the school marms get wind of this. Wait until the day he has to draw his family tree. It happened to my niece, who I raised. Her teachers told everyone her parents were substance addicts, so I raised her. This was kinder, by the way. The custody arrangement reiterates and sets precedent that this is your decision. This is tough love, but better to implement it now. I did the same with my niece's parents. Sorry, but messing up so bad gives you zero say and zero credibility. Also, how does someone with 4 kids have time for an affair? Crazy times. Well, 3 kids at the time. The youngest was born after my son. And honestly, I worked crazy long hours with barely any free time, so I'm sure that made having an affair easier for her since we didn't see each other too often. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole if I allow my daughter to change her name? I, female 29, have a daughter, female 10, with my previous partner, who sadly died when my daughter was 1. When my daughter was 3, I began dating my now husband, Matt, male 34, who has 2 boys, 10, 11, with his ex-wife. I've had a great bond with his kids since they were little, and I've always tried to make it clear that while I know I'm not their mom, I'm another person who will always love and support them. My husband is a fantastic dad, and my daughter is incredibly close to him. Last year, we had our first child together, 1 male, and my daughter, Mia, has brought up a few times that she's now the only one without Matt's surname. I spoke to her about it, and she explained that it sometimes makes her feel like she's not really part of the family. It was pretty heartbreaking, as we've always tried to keep her dad's memory alive, but reassure her that it's okay for her to love Matt as a dad too. It's obviously something that is playing on her mind as she came home from school last week and asked me if I thought Matt would adopt her so he could be her dad too. Matt and I spoke about it, and although he said he would adopt her in a heartbeat, we felt we should wait a few years until she's older and can understand the gravity of the decision. I suggested we add his surname to her own instead, and Mia loved that idea. Matt spoke to the boys to make sure it was okay with them, and they were excited about it. She's the only girl, so they have a very sweet relationship. They went to dinner together and she wrote a letter asking him. She cried. He cried. The waitress cried. It was an emotional moment for them both. Well, it all kicked off. My late partner's parents said they understood why she wanted to do it, but it's an insult to his memory and I'm an a-hole for not talking her out of it. I can understand them being a bit upset, as I know it's also their connection to her / their son. However, Matt's ex-wife heard and said what we're doing is disgusting, and that giving Mia his surname devalues the boys' relationship with their dad. She got nasty and starting saying that my daughter and I need to know our place. I've always done my best to be civil with her, but even I lost it and told her that she lost her right to have any input into Matt's decisions when she ditched him for another guy. I accept that as kind of an a-hole move, but don't come for my daughter. Matt stands by our decision 100%, but now I'm wondering if any of their comments are valid. And if Mia ultimately decides she doesn't want Matt to adopt her, whether I'll be an a-hole for supporting her. She's so happy about it, and I don't think I can bring myself to take that away from her. Edit. Sorry, should have made it clear that we're hyphenating her surname. It'll be up to her if she wants to use the hyphenated version in day-to-day life, or just my husband's and the other as a middle name. Everyone who matters is on board with the name amendment. All due respect to your previous partner's parents, but Mia keeping his name solely will not bring him back. He lives on through her living on and being happy. That is his legacy. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. No respect to your current husband's ex-wife. Her attitude stinks. Not a-hole. You are completely right. Thank you. Note: do not hyphenate. Just add it as a second surname without hyphenating it. When a name is hyphenated, you must use both on any legal documents, bank accounts, credit cards, etc. If you simply have two surnames, she can choose which she uses and where. We filled in the paperwork this afternoon and she chose to have her current surname as an additional middle name and my husband's as her surname. Not a-hole. The ex-wife needs to shut the hell up. She literally has no part in this, and her reasoning is, well, just plain stupid. Your previous partner's parents, though, are very justified in their emotion. To them, it is going to feel like they're losing part of their son again. I think your compromise is excellent. She is keeping her father's name while also adding on her stepfather's name because he helped raise her. I can see why, at this age, she would feel left out of your family. At the end of the day, I see it from both perspectives. I don't see the harm in adding a name as long as you aren't taking her father's away. She may even change it back when she gets older. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.